Well, it was on June the 22nd last year when the RTÉ crisis first exploded onto the public stage. Since then, the country's public service broadcaster has barely been out of the headlines. So where now for RTÉ? Well, I'm joined here in studio by the Media Minister, Catherine Martin. Thanks so much for being here this evening. Minister, look, as you know today, RTÉ published legal advice that it will not be making public details of the exit packages. Are you satisfied, and do you accept Kevin Backer's view in the legal advice that he cannot make public the details of these packages, for to do so he would be breaking the law?
Yes, I think the legal advice is clear in this case in terms of not being able to breach those confidentiality clauses. But what I think going forward is we need to ensure maximum transparency in RTÉ, and that's why I have asked that he look at, these confidentiality clauses. They should certainly not be the norm. They should be the exception rather than the norm. And also looking at, possibly capping such packages if they were needed.
And we'll come back to that issue of the cap. Kevin Backer's has also, of course, offered the individuals the opportunity to allow the details of their packages go public. Would you like to see that happening?
That is actually something that I asked Kevin to pursue in seeking that maximum transparency, that we would know that every option was explored. So I think it's definitely worthwhile, and I know he's written to the individuals involved, and we wait to see what the response is.
Minister, do you know if the RTÉ board had any role in the two most recent packages agreed?
Well, it was my understanding that the board had no role whatsoever in the approval of these two exit packages. When I met the chair on Monday, I queried this again. Was my understanding correct? And I was assured by the chair that it was the case. And I spoke to media afterwards and said I could clarify that in foot of talking to the chair that there was no approval process on either of the packages. I again met the chair yesterday when the legal advice, when I was being briefed and with the DG, and I again queried, was 100% certainty that there was no approval by the board in these two packages, and I was again reassured that that was the case. However, this morning, a communication through my officials, it has been made known to me now that in fact in the second exit package, that of Richard Collins, it went before the Remuneration Committee, so it was approved so there was a process there where the board had approval. These were the new reforms that came into place. Obviously, it's not satisfactory. I've always said my direct line of communication in relation to RTÉ is through the chair of the board. So I am deeply disappointed at this, and I've written to the chair this evening, and I've asked to meet her tomorrow to discuss this.
So when you say that, firstly, what is the significance of what you discovered? And secondly, when you've asked to see the chair, what does that mean?
Well, the significance is, as I've said in every interview that I've done since this crisis emerged, I've said my direct line is with the chair of the board. And if I got the incorrect information, I did ask on two occasions, on a Monday meeting and again on a Wednesday meeting. And given that I spoke to media on the Monday and made that clarification, haven't checked it. And again on Wednesday to meet, but I felt I just wanted to check it one more time when I had the opportunity to meet again, to find out this morning that it was the incorrect information, that it was indeed approved by the Remuneration Committee, on which the chair sits and indeed chairs that committee. That is of concern because in order, the Minister of Media must be in possession of the facts, of the exact information, especially in a time of a crisis and controversy like this. So I've asked Siún in, but I would like to say though, Siún Ní Raghallaigh has done incredible work since she came on as chair. I think especially since this crisis erupted, and I would not like to acknowledge that, but I do feel I need to meet Siún to just talk through exactly how this arose. How could I be misinformed on these two occasions?
When you say talk through, as I listen to you here this evening, Minister, it sounds to me, have you lost confidence in the chair of the RTÉ board?
I'm deeply disappointed, as I've said already, Miriam, but I think it's only right that Siún, having done such incredible work and Herculean efforts, especially since the crisis emerged in June, that she's afforded the opportunity to talk to me. So I won't comment further on that, but I'm just saying I'm deeply disappointed.
Are you saying, Minister, that you weren't informed of the Richard Collins package and your department wasn't informed of that package? I
would have an awareness, definitely, and the department, that there was legalities very complex, and that there was a package, that it wasn't a straightforward resignation. I had that knowledge, but outside that, no. And I suppose, again, I'm saying that to not realise, not be informed that the board actually, through the Remuneration Committee, had a role in this. Just
clarifying this in my own mind here for our viewers, are you saying that your department was not aware of the details of Richard Collins's package?
We were not aware that there was approval by the Remuneration Committee.
But were you aware? Were they aware of the details of the package?
We don't have the details. I or the officials in the department. The law applies to us as to any other person. So if there's a confidentiality agreement there, it can't be breached. I can't be in possession of that knowledge either.
Where does that leave Siún Ní Raghallaigh? As you said, she's done Trojan work, but where does that leave her tonight?
Well, I've written to her and expressed my disappointment in relation to being misinformed this week on 2 occasions, and we'll see what will happen tomorrow morning. I want to afford her the right to talk to me tomorrow morning.
But of course, Minister, you appoint the board, you appoint the chair of the RTÉ board. Siún Ní Raghallaigh is your appointment.
Mm-hmm. And that's why I'm saying this is deeply disappointing. I think it's unsatisfactory. But I want to have the opportunity to talk to Siún herself in the morning.
Siún, of course, is the chair of the board. Kevin Backhurst is the Director General, the CEO. Effectively, she is the chair. Do you have confidence in Kevin Backhurst?
Yes, I have confidence in Kevin Backhurst. I think he came in at an incredible stage of dysfunction within RTÉ as it emerged, and he came in the 2nd week of July. Everything started around at the end of June, when there's complete chaos, and we have to remember that at what he arrived at that point in time. And I think everything he's done since that has been motivated about bringing stability to the organisation. And indeed, everything I'm doing is trying to look at the forward-looking piece. What will bring stability to RTÉ? What will restore confidence of the staff in RTÉ? What will ensure a better environment of culture and governance in RTÉ? And most importantly, to restore the faith and trust in public service media, which is of utmost importance, especially in this day and age.
So tonight, just to be clear, you have expressed confidence in Kevin Backhurst, the DG, but you haven't expressed confidence in the chair, Siún Ní Raghallaigh.
What I'm saying is an issue has emerged today on foot of me being given the incorrect information on 2 occasions this week, and I'm reserving the right to make any further comment in relation to that until the chair is afforded the opportunity that I have written to her and asked her to meet me early in the morning.
Are you going to remove Siún Ní Raghallaigh from her position as chair of the board?
I have to give everything consideration, but again, I need to hear from Siún Ní Raghallaigh first. I think it's only right and fair that Siún explains his situation to me.
This is a large public organisation that is currently in existential crisis, in chaos. Is this the last thing it needs, really, for the chair, perhaps, to be asked to stand down? Is that the last thing RTÉ needs? I'm just wondering.
Well, it's certainly, well, as I said, my focus is on looking forward, bringing stability. This seems to be yet another turn in this story. And of course, it's unhelpful that this happened this week. But I just want to reassure people that I'm working very hard to bring the stability, to play my part and bring the stability to this organisation. I believe the expert advisory committee's reports, when they arrive, will help, because they're the only reports commissioned by government. They're the only reports that were in recommendations. And I also think what needs to be done too, from our point of view, from what we can do as a government, we need to make the decision as soon as possible on the future funding model.
I can hear you say that, Minister, and your call for stability. And yet you are here tonight. And it's a shock, I think, to many people that you may, in fact, be going to ask the chair of the RTÉ board to stand down. That doesn't provide stability, does it?
What I've said is, what I am going to do tomorrow is talk to the chair of the board. I've asked to meet her, to express my disappointment and to give her an opportunity to speak to me in relation to what happened this week. I am very conscious that stability is needed, but I'm also very conscious, as I've said, that my direct role, my direct connection with this organisation, with RTÉ, in this time of crisis, is with the chair of the board. And I must be in a position where I can rely on being informed at all times of the facts.
And tonight, I've asked you twice, but you cannot express confidence in the chair of the RTÉ board. Isn't that correct at this moment?
What I'm saying is I'm awaiting the meeting with Siún in the morning. I've written to her today and I've requested that meeting tomorrow morning, and I'm affording her that opportunity.
To move on for the moment, there's been a lot of talk today about RTÉ needing perhaps to come under the Controller and Auditor General. This crisis has existed since June the 22nd last year. Why didn't you do that sooner? Perhaps we'd have been better off if we came under the Controller and Auditor General before now.
Because we have put in place the expert advisory committees. One of those is on culture and governance. So I'm not going to preempt their recommendations. I have said recently, and indeed in comments during the summer too, since this controversy emerged, that I definitely feel it is something worth considering. But I want to wait to see what the recommendations are. If that is a recommendation, and I suppose my position would be I think it is needed. But let's see what the recommendations are. Then we will move to legislate to make that happen.
Finally, you've been Minister for 4 years, the Media Minister with responsibility for Ireland's public service broadcaster. RTÉ obviously is largely responsible for the crisis it is currently in, but so also some responsibility must be borne by you and the government and previous governments for not properly deciding how public service broadcasting needs to be funded in this country, and we still don't have it.
Yes, I think consecutive governments have failed on this, and that role has to be acknowledged. I am absolutely determined that I will be the Minister of Media that with this government will take this decision. I think it's of the utmost importance, and we have to remember it's not just about for RTÉ. This is about the wider broadcast and print sector, the entire public service media, because that funding model will fund the wider media sector, and that is absolutely essential. So that's why I'm saying we need to make the decision as soon as possible. As soon as you get those expert advisory committee reports, I want to move to the decision-making mode, and that's why the discussions are ongoing.
I appreciate you taking the time to come to us tonight, Minister.